Have you ever been in a tech interview given what you thought was the perfect textbook answer and then got rejected? It's this super frustrating thing that happens way more than you'd think. So let's break down why that perfect answer can actually be a trap, and more importantly, how you can flip it into your biggest strength.
Okay, so picture it. You're in the interview, you're in the hot seat, the interviewer leans forward and asks this super standard, almost deceptively simple question. We've all been there, right? It feels like they're tossing you a softball. This is your moment to shine. So, what do you say?
You probably take a breath and you deliver this flawless word-for-word definition. You might say something like, a REST API is an architectural style. It's stateless, uses standard HTTP methods like GET and POST, and typically uses JSON for data transfer. And you know what? It's concise, it's accurate, every single word is correct. You're feeling pretty good about it, but this, right here, is where the trouble starts.
And then you get that dreaded rejection email a few days later. And you're just left scratching your head thinking, wait, my answer was perfect. What on earth went wrong? Well, that confusing no holds a really crucial lesson about what interviewers are actually looking for.
To really get this, we have to completely flip our perspective for a second and climb inside the interviewer's head. See, the problem isn't that your answer was factually wrong. It wasn't. The problem is what your answer failed to say about you. It accidentally signals that you think like a junior, focused on the what, instead of a senior who focuses on the how and the why.
This really shows the disconnect perfectly. On one hand, you're saying all the right keywords, architectural style, stateless, JSON. But what the interviewer is hearing is totally different. They're hearing book knowledge. They hear someone who can read documentation, but they don't hear a practitioner who has actually built things and solved real-world problems. It's all theory and no practice.
And this really gets to the heart of it. Literally anyone can memorize a definition. What a hiring manager is really truly looking for is to hear how you've applied that knowledge. They're listening for the stories about the projects, the problems you solved, the design decisions you made. Your textbook answer? They gave them none of that.
Okay, so that's the problem. But how do we fix it? Let's talk about a much better way to answer this. The experience-driven answer. It's a simple framework that's going to demonstrate your real-world skills from the very first thing you say.
So you want to structure your answer around three key things. First, context. Always lead with how you actually use it. For instance, I use REST APIs all the time to expose our backend services to our web and mobile clients. See? Instantly more engaging. Second, design. Explain your thought process. When I design them, I usually model the resources around business entities for simplicity and scalability. And third, trade-offs. This is where you really show senior-level thinking. I've also found that things like authentication and API versioning need really careful planning up front. Notice the difference? That's not a definition. It's a mini story about your experience.
Now, if you only remember one single thing from all of this, let it be this next point. This is a simple but super powerful rule that's going to completely change how you answer technical questions in every interview you do from now on.
That's it. It's so simple, right? Never, ever answer a question with just the definition. Sure, the definition can be in there somewhere, but it should never, ever be the whole answer. Your number one goal is to show, not just tell. You've got to lead with your story, your context, your experience. And that brings us to the final thought I want to leave you with. The next time you're prepping for an interview, stop just memorizing what a technology is. Instead, ask yourself this question. How can I tell the story of how I've actually used this, the problems I've solved, and the lessons I've learned? Because that story, that's what's going to impress them, and that is what will get you hired.